Pop the bonnet on a brand new 2026 vehicle, what do you see? Plastic, just plastic, a giant molded cover hiding everything underneath. And if you try to get past it, well, that's where it gets interesting because manufacturers have spent the last decade making sure you can't. Tamper-resistant fasteners, digitally paired components, software lockouts. The Saturday Arvo mechanic is being systematically wiped out, and it is absolutely not by accident. This is a coordinated strategy to turn every single Australian car owner into a long-term tenant. They've sealed the engine bay, they've locked the software, and now they're charging you $200 an hour just to work on something that's supposedly yours. Today on Aussie Car Expert, we're going to break down exactly how this happened, who's responsible, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it as an Australian driver in 2025. Let's start with something simple, a window switch. 20 years ago, if your window switch died on an old Commodore or Falcon, you'd rock up to a wrecker, hand over a tenner, plug in a used switch, and you were done before lunch. The part was copper, plastic, and logic. Straightforward stuff. Now try that same thing on a modern Ford Ranger or a current gen Hilux. You pull out the faulty switch, fit a replacement, perfectly functional, direct fit from a legitimate wrecked vehicle, and nothing happens. The truck just refuses it. Why? Because that switch now has a digital serial number embedded in it. When it's installed, the vehicle's central computer scans it. If the code doesn't match the factory-approved list stored in that computer, it simply won't work. The switch is fine, the wiring is fine, but the system blocks it. To fix that, you need to tow your car to the dealership so they can plug in a proprietary diagnostic laptop and essentially grant the new switch permission to exist in your own vehicle. That's a tow fee plus at least 1 hour of labor, and they're not actually fixing anything, they're typing. This is what the industry calls parts pairing. It's not a safety feature, it's a business model. Kill the second-hand parts market, force buyers back to the dealership for everything, and print money on the margin. But software locks are just half the story. Before they lock the code, they redesign the cars to be physically impossible to work on yourself. Manufacturers call it packaging efficiency. We can call it what it is, a deliberate obstacle course. Take something as mundane as a headlight globe. On a mid-90s Commodore or an old Land Cruiser, you'd open the bonnet, reach in, twist the connector, pull the globe, done. 90 seconds maximum. On many modern vehicles, some of the most popular utes and SUVs sold in Australia right now, you have to pull out the wheel arch liner or remove sections of the front bar assembly just to access the globe housing. Some current European models have deleted the transmission dipstick entirely. You literally cannot check the fluid yourself. You have to trust the dashboard sensor, and when that sensor fails, it's not a cheap fix. Often the replacement process pulls in the whole transmission assembly, and then there's the big one for tradies and ute owners, cab-off repairs. On several current full-size trucks, including popular American imports that have found a market here, the engine bay is packed so tightly that major internal work requires the mechanic to physically lift the cab off the chassis. That's not an exaggeration. Structural engine access that used to be a weekend job is now a multi-$1,000 workshop exercise requiring specialist lifting equipment. They market it as aerodynamic efficiency and smart packaging. But look at the result. Ordinary Australians who'd previously maintained their own working vehicles are completely locked out. Now here's one that surprises people, the battery. You'd think swapping a flat battery is still the most basic DIY job in existence, and on older cars it is. But on a growing number of modern vehicles, from European prestige brands to some surprisingly mainstream models, the car runs what's called a battery management system. This BMS tracks the battery's history and performance over time. If you swap in a new battery bought from Supercheap or Repco and don't register it to the vehicle's computer, the management system doesn't know a new battery exists. It assumes the old dying battery is still in there and adjusts the alternator's charge rate accordingly, which means it overcharges your brand new battery. In some cases, you'll destroy a $200 battery within a month. The fix? Go back to the dealer, pay them to run a registration procedure that takes about 4 minutes and costs you money you shouldn't have to spend. They've turned battery replacement into a subscription. Now, to understand how we got here, you have to look at the industry that pioneered all of this. And it wasn't automotive, it was agriculture. Farmers in Australia, the United States, across Europe, they were the first to get absolutely burned by this model. A farmer spends $500,000 on a modern precision tractor, works the land their family has farmed for generations. Then a $50 sensor fails during harvest. They can physically see the sensor. They could replace it with a wrench in 10 minutes. But the machine has been programmed to lock itself out if an unregistered part is detected. The tractor bricks itself, it won't move, and the farmer has to wait potentially days for a dealer technician to drive out and use the manufacturer's software to approve the repair. Meanwhile, the crop is sitting in the paddock. The weather doesn't care about software licenses. Australian farmers were absolutely vocal about this, and that advocacy directly contributed to right to repair discussions at a federal level here. But the automotive industry had already seen how profitable the model was, and they copied it wholesale. Now your car goes into a restricted limp mode, not because something is actually broken, but because a sensor reading has drifted outside a parameter range and the system wants you in a service center. The vehicle is functional, the limitation is manufactured, and it's not stopping at repairs. We've seen major European manufacturers attempt to charge monthly subscription fees for features already physically built into the car you've already paid for. Heated seats, remote start, advanced driver assist functions. The hardware is sitting right there installed at the factory, but a software lock prevents you from using it until you pay an ongoing fee. Some manufacturers reverse course after customer backlash, others are quietly persisting. And now with connected vehicle platforms becoming standard, manufacturers can theoretically disable features remotely or at least restrict them if subscription payments lapse or a vehicle is flagged. This is the actual end goal, not selling you a product, selling you access to a product. Indefinitely, the car becomes a platform, you become a subscriber. So where does that leave Australian drivers? Honest answer, in a complicated position, but not a powerless one. The good news is Australia has been having serious conversations about right to repair legislation that covers the automotive sector. There have been federal inquiries, industry submissions, and genuine pressure building from consumer groups and independent mechanics. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has flagged concerns about anti-competitive repair restrictions. The Motor Trades Association, independent repairers, and owner communities have been pushing hard. This is a real fight with real momentum, and it matters because legislative protection forcing manufacturers to share repair data, diagnostic access, and parts availability with independent workshops is the most effective systemic fix available. The second thing you can do is vote with your wallet when purchasing. Older vehicles, genuine older vehicles, not 5 years old, but pre-widespread computerization, are holding their value and their utility in a way manufacturers didn't anticipate. A well-maintained late 90s or early 2000s ute or wagon, properly sorted, is a fully serviceable vehicle that you can actually work on. Wreckers still carry parts. Service information is freely available. Your local independent mechanic can fix it without a manufacturer subscription. The market for these vehicles in Australia has been notably strong, and a significant part of that is exactly this dynamic playing out. Third, for those buying new or near new, independent mechanics and aftermarket tool suppliers are fighting back. Professional grade scan tools with broad vehicle compatibility are more accessible than they've ever been. A good independent workshop with current diagnostic equipment can handle the vast majority of modern vehicle issues without dealer involvement. Not everything, but far more than manufacturers want you to believe. And fourth, know your consumer rights. Under Australian consumer law, vehicles are covered by consumer guarantees regardless of whether you use dealer or independent service, provided the service is performed competently and with appropriate parts. Manufacturers cannot legally void your statutory consumer guarantees simply because you used an independent repairer, though they'll often imply otherwise. The ACCC has been explicit about this. The driveway mechanic isn't dead, they're adapting. And the manufacturers who built this system underestimated one thing: Australians have a long and stubborn history of keeping their own gear running on their own terms. We fixed Land Cruisers in the outback with fencing wire before this industry existed, and we'll be fixing vehicles when the subscription model collapses under its own arrogance. The war on the home mechanic is real. The hood has been sealed and the software locked down. But the ability to understand what's happening, to advocate for your rights, and to make smart decisions as a consumer, that hasn't been patched out yet. Stay informed, support right to repair, and keep the tools sharp.